At the French Open, fans witnessed one of the most uncomfortable trophy ceremonies in recent memory as Coco Gauff appeared to completely ignore Aryna Sabalenka during the celebration, sparking intense debate across the tennis world. What Aryna said in her post-match interview clearly struck a nerve with Coco, leading her to respond not with words, but with a cold public snub that everyone could see. The tension felt real, the message seemed deliberate, and Aryna quickly became the center of attention for all the wrong reasons. So here's something to think about. When someone downplays your win by claiming they defeated themselves, is silence the strongest response? Or is it better to face them head-on? Share your thoughts below. Coco Gauff had just secured the French Open title with a commanding display, and her excitement was impossible to hide, celebrating so passionately that she even dropped the trophy lid in the moment. That's the kind of raw, emotional celebration you expect from a true champion. Pure happiness shining through as she stepped forward to accept her trophy during the official ceremony. But then the atmosphere suddenly changed. Coco Gauff looked more reserved, almost guarded, and what stood out the most was how she openly ignored Aryna Sabalenka. It wasn't just a quick moment of distance. It felt like a clear and intentional snub that everyone watching picked up on immediately. Fans around the world began questioning why Coco would respond that way toward the runner-up in a moment that usually reflects sportsmanship and respect. The answer seemed to lie in what Aryna said after the match, and from Coco's perspective, it didn't come across well at all. Aryna pointed to her own errors as the main reason for the loss instead of giving proper credit to Coco's performance, which many saw as dismissive. In a Grand Slam final, where every point is earned under pressure, that kind of comment can easily be taken as disrespect toward the player who came out on top.
How does she do that and make things difficult for you?
By running and playing those high balls from the frame. And honestly, sometimes it felt like she was hitting the ball from the frame. Somehow magically the ball lands in the court and you kind of like on the back foot and yeah, it's just, like it felt like a joke, honestly, like someone from above was just like staying there laughing and like, oh, let's see if you can handle this, and I couldn't today. And she won the match not because she played incredible, just because I made all of those mistakes.
Aryna made it clear that she felt her own errors were the reason Coco won the match, not Coco's level of play. Think about that for a second. She framed the result around her mistakes being the deciding factor instead of giving credit to Coco Gauff for outplaying her, outthinking her, or performing at a higher level under pressure. There was no emphasis on Coco's tactics, no recognition of her execution, just the idea that the loss came down to her own slip-ups. That's the story Aryna Sabalenka put out right after the defeat, and it quickly became the center of the conversation.
Another tough final on the Grand Slam against Coco, another terrible performance from me against Coco in the final, and I have to just kind of like step back and look at this from the perspective and try to finally learn the lesson, because I cannot go out there every time against her in the finals of the Grand Slam and play such terrible tennis and give those wins. She literally just put an extra ball on the other side than I did, so like it was a joke for real. Like when she would hit the ball, at some point the wind would just like let the ball fly like crazy, and I was late every time, plus clay court, plus like a bit of wrong bounces, and I was like, honestly guys, it's the worst match I played in the last couple months. It's just a joke, and I cannot do that anymore.
But the situation didn't stop there. It actually became even more controversial. Aryna Sabalenka went a step further by suggesting that if IGA Swiatek had beaten her in the semifinals, then IGA would have gone on to defeat Coco Gauff in the final. That adds another layer to the narrative she was creating. Not only was she implying that her own mistakes handed Coco the win, but she was also hinting that a different opponent would have produced a completely different outcome. In simple terms, it came across as downplaying Coco's achievement by framing the title as a result of circumstances rather than her performance, suggesting it was more about Aryna having an off day and IGA not making it through, then Coco truly earning the victory on the biggest stage.
I don't know, I think if Iga would win me another day, I think she would go out today and she would get the win. It just, like, yeah.
I mean, I don't agree with that. I'm here sitting here. And last time I played, no, like to Iga or anything, but I played her and I won in straight sets. So, but yeah, I think regardless of who I played, I think I had a good shot to win, and I definitely had that belief. And if you ask me, like, honestly speaking to you guys who I wanted to play, it was Iga, just because I felt Aryna was playing so good, and she was. So, but also Iga is a tough opponent too. So honestly, neither of them would have been a better shot, but it played out how it played out, and yeah, that's why I'm here today.
That's a pretty shocking stance from a player who had just come up short. And Coco Gauff clearly picked up on the fact that Aryna Sabalenka wasn't fully acknowledging her level or giving her the respect she earned. So Coco made a choice. As the champion, she decided not to engage and instead let the silence do all the talking. And it had an impact. The moment turned noticeably tense for Aryna, standing there during the ceremony, likely expecting the usual respectful exchange between finalists, only to be met with complete indifference. It was a subtle but powerful statement that delivered a message without a single word being spoken. Later on, Coco addressed the situation publicly and made her position clear. She pushed back on the idea that the result came down to mistakes, emphasizing that her own performance was the real difference. At the same time, she handled it smartly by still calling Aryna her toughest opponent, which managed to show respect while reinforcing that she overcame a strong version of her rival, not someone simply falling apart. That final comment, calling Aryna Sabalenka her toughest opponent, actually ended up putting Aryna in an even more awkward position because it exposed the contradiction. If you're truly the strongest challenger, and you still come up short, then it naturally points to the winner simply being better when it counted most. At that stage, it's no longer about errors, it's about who rose to the moment. The crowd quickly caught on to that dynamic. And Aryna's reaction to the loss didn't sit well with many, turning her into a target of criticism. The reality is, handling defeat with composure is a key part of being a professional athlete. You're allowed to feel upset or frustrated behind the scenes, but in public, there's an expectation to recognize your opponent's performance and give them credit. That's a fundamental part of sportsmanship that athletes learn from the beginning. However, Aryna took a different route. Instead of fully acknowledging Coco Gauff and her performance, she framed the outcome as something she handed away rather than something Coco earned. And that distinction carries real weight, especially for someone who just achieved the milestone of winning a Grand Slam title. Coco Gauff is only 21 years old and had just captured the French Open title, a defining achievement she spent her entire life chasing: the trophy, the recognition, and the proof that she belongs among the elite. Yet, almost immediately after that moment, Aryna Sabalenka was telling the media that the outcome wasn't really about Coco's brilliance, but about her own mistakes, which is naturally frustrating for any champion. It's no surprise Coco chose to keep her distance during the ceremony, because pretending everything was fine or acting appreciative of that narrative would not have made sense in that moment. The cold reaction reflected the situation, and looking at the match itself, Coco delivered an outstanding performance. She attacked at the right times, defended with composure, served effectively under pressure, and followed her strategy with precision. That's exactly what it takes to win a Grand Slam final, stepping up when everything is on the line. Of course, errors happen in every match. Both players make them. That's part of tennis, but reducing a victory of that level to mistakes alone ignores the quality and execution it takes to win on that stage. That's simply how the sport works. But reducing Coco Gauff's win to nothing more than Aryna Sabalenka making mistakes comes across as unfair and dismissive. Coco didn't just benefit from errors. She created them through smart shot placement, consistent pace, and strong positioning on the court, which is exactly what top players are supposed to do, applying pressure until their opponent breaks. Aryna's claim about IGA Swiatek potentially winning the final if she had advanced is purely hypothetical and adds nothing to what actually happened. IGA wasn't in the final, Aryna was, and she had her chance to win the French Open but couldn't close it out. Bringing up what if scenarios only shifts focus away from the reality that she didn't perform when it mattered most. We've seen this pattern before, where some athletes struggle to accept being outplayed and instead point to mistakes or outside factors rather than giving credit. Ironically, those comments ended up backfiring, because if Aryna had simply acknowledged Coco's performance, the spotlight would have stayed fully on the champion. Instead, she created a second storyline around her reaction, turning that trophy ceremony into a moment people will remember just as much as the victory itself. Tennis fans will likely remember French Open and Coco Gauff's victory, not only for the title itself, but also for the tense moment during the celebration when she appeared to ignore Aryna Sabalenka, a reaction that many believe was linked to the post-match comments that followed. That moment has now become part of the wider conversation around Aryna's handling of the defeat in that tournament. Coco, however, didn't escalate things publicly in an emotional way. She didn't turn it into a shouting match or make it messy in front of the media. Instead, she communicated her feelings through restraint, letting her body language speak for her while keeping control of the situation. When she eventually did address it, she stayed composed but direct, disagreeing with the idea that the win came down to errors while still recognizing Aryna as a strong opponent. That balance mattered because it reframed the story from Aryna beat herself into Coco overcame a top-level challenger. One version downplays the achievement, the other strengthens it. Coco ensured the second version stood out. This whole situation also reflects the intensity at the top level of women's tennis, where competition is fierce, but respect still plays a crucial role. Players can battle hard on court and still acknowledge each other afterward, even in defeat. The debate around Aryna's comments only grew because they seemed to minimize Coco's performance despite the fact she won on one of the biggest stages in the sport. Ultimately, victories at this level are never accidents or luck, especially at a Grand Slam, where consistency, pressure management, and execution decide everything. It is not simply about an opponent having an off day. It is about maintaining a high level of tennis consistently over 2 full weeks while facing the strongest players in the world, and Coco managed to do exactly that to secure her title. She truly deserved the win. Aryna's remarks, which downplayed that achievement, came across as lacking respect and a clear understanding of what it actually takes to succeed at that level. Coco's reaction, choosing to ignore her during the trophy ceremony, sent a clear message that she was not willing to act as if those comments were acceptable. Around the tennis world,